All right, guys, I'm sitting here with Richard Diaz. You guys may or may not know me. Hopefully you do. My name is Brian Fischer. I was a top CrossFitter for about 10 years. Competed on the Olympic team for bobsled, skeleton for another 5-6 years. Athletics has been my entire life. And now I spend a lot of my time interviewing people, making programs, owning my gym, and starting a YouTube channel. So one of my top YouTube channel episodes I ever had of all time, actually it is #1, was when I came here to Rich's house. By a long shot. By a couple 100,000 views. We came here in the garage, which we're going to go to in a little bit, and we went over running mechanics. And you're really big on economy.
Efficiency and economy.
Efficiency and economy. That's what it is. So he broke everything down in such a way that a lot of people weren't really used to. It came across as easy to pick up, and it grasped to a lot of people, and a lot of people are really, really excited about it. So we wanted to make this video. We wanted to attach it to a program, and we're going to go over pretty much all the things that make this new and why we should change from the old way to the new way, which is Rich's way.
The right way.
The right way.
Right.
So why is it the right way?
All right. So,
not that it is the only way, right way, but what's your argument?
Can I just make the argument that
Yeah.
it is the only way?
Okay.
I mean, you can get like someone like yourself. Let's talk about athleticism. You get a guy that's in really good shape. His body is very resistant to lots of pain and circumstance. Gets away with a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So I've seen athletes run that perform really well, but their efficiency's crap. They just don't run well. So it becomes a problem of physics. You know, sky's blue, grass is green. I drop a rock, it's going to fall every single time because gravity is at work, right? So when you start imposing yourself against gravitational forces, when you start fighting with inertia, when you start imposing braking forces because of the way you're tossing yourself at the ground, this is an encumbrance, always. So it's, you know, talking about right and wrong, someone might think, wow, how egotistical is that guy, right?
Yeah.
It isn't about ego. It's not about, I'm saying that it's my way. I'm saying that there's physics at play, and if you violate the fundamental presence of physics, then you're barking up the wrong tree. And I will see a guy that runs really well and make a few little tweaks in the way they're moving, and they will get faster. And what is more common and more important to most people is the injuries go away. Because if you continuously throw yourself into work inappropriately, ultimately you will be injured. And so going back to an athlete that has strong bone, has, you know, tough tendon, good musculature, strength to weight ratio is good, they get away with murder. And I see this a lot. And it becomes a tough sell for them to think, well, you know, I run a 17-minute 5K or a 16-minute 5K, why would I want to mess with that, right? I've seen world-class athletes that are just screwing the pooch. They just do not run well.
Well, owning a gym, I see people who lift massive weights with the worst form I've ever seen.
Well, and then that's another physics problem.
And they don't care, right? But I know, I mean, I'm not a pro with the running mechanics like you are, but I am a pro with teaching someone how to lift weights.
Right.
And I can tell you that millimeters, centimeters, I mean, the smallest movement will be
massive.
10, 20 pounds on someone's lift.
And I'm not as well schooled with weight training as you are, but I came from that background as well. I own gyms and things like this. And, you know, just a traditional lift where you see somebody make the error of throwing the weight away from their body as opposed to bringing up linearly to get it closer to the body. So they're just in a better position to do the work.
I don't think people don't think about running like that, though.
Well, it's a great analogy because it's exactly what it is. The difference between strength training, for the most part, and running is the fact that strength training is commonly closed chain. You're attached to the earth with both feet or attached to the earth either on one foot without leaving the ground. Where in running, it's open chain. So you're literally throwing yourself in the air, and the way you make your landing has everything to do with your success or failure. And so we kind of alluded towards the traditional approach to running, which has been for many, many years heel striking. We were taught to land on our heels. What's really interesting, and I just saw this on a a Facebook video somebody posted, Roger Bannister in 1954 breaking the 4-minute mile. And back then,
Just giant heel strike?
no,
Photo? No.
no,
Oh, no?
Perfection in form. The difference was that the shoes they were wearing were not scientific running shoes. They were just leather shoes that were flat, right? So there's no imposition from the shoe. They just went and run. And everything about the way these guys were running in that video was exactly what I'm teaching people to do. We're just trying to get back to running properly, because we've been exposed to this influence of the running shoe industry that is causing us to make grave errors with the way we move. And it's getting better. People are starting to smell the coffee with books that came out, like Born to Run was a big one, caused a lot of people to start rethinking the way they're running.
And you go to the running store now, like it's rare you see the big heel anymore. Of all the shoes.
Right. So what they've done is they changed the narrative a little bit. Now they have big stack height, so the entire shoe is high off the ground, and then that changes everything for you too. So aside from all that, what I try to get people to do is understand the mechanics of the way to run, so that putting yourself in an appropriate position. Force production off the ground is a function of stability, which we're going to cover. We're going to do this, but at the end of the day, I will be happy to argue with anyone that wants to present the argument that they feel like overstriding and heel striking is okay. If you think that, then you probably still think the earth is flat, because you're completely confused. It's a function of physics, and we're going to visit this. So.
And if you don't have joint pain now, you're going to.
It's going to come, right?
Which I think is very important.
And I've been in this business a very long time, and I have people daily communicate with me through social media or messenger or email. And the common thing people will say is, I'm getting older. I'm 45 years old. I want to be able to continue to run till I'm 70. I don't want to not be able to run because I enjoy it so much. But I know that the path I'm on is going to lead to a disruption that eventually takes me out. And I just don't want to not be able to do it anymore. That's more the case with my clientele than someone trying to eke out a little bit more performance. The good news is both things happen, because the path to reducing injury and the path to performance is the same path. You got to move better to reduce the injury. You got to move better to get faster. So
I like that.
I think it's an important, it's a critical thing. I mean, my whole life is bent on this. I've been 30 years in this business doing this. I'm 25 years in doing clinical analysis on athletes. And it's come to this. It's come to these very narrow focused things, which is you got to develop efficiency to improve economy. Without economy, even in CrossFit, if you're not economical in your moves, the cost of work is going to be great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't even tell you so many movements that literally half my training was doing something I was already really good at and just fine-tuning it a little bit so that I wasn't going to get as tired.
Well, and incidentally, that's what the book's about.
Yeah.
So the book is obviously a complete departure of what is typical. I feel very strongly about the approach. I think that the idea that developing your aerobic pathway is going to encourage improvements in your lifts and cause you to be a better CrossFit athlete, I think that's a mistake. Personally, I think it's a mistake. Knowing what I know about the energy systems, knowing, based on not an opinion, not because, I hung around with some people that were
That's
good.
my favorite thing about you is you have so much data and so much
It's crazy.
science behind
people
everything.
people that I've worked with that are professionals in the industry, PhDs in exercise science, when they come to hang out with me and they realize how much data I have, they're like, dude, do you realize this is millions of dollars worth of information you have? You're not doing anything with it? And honestly, I haven't.
We are now.
Yeah, we have. We have. I mean, you encouraged me to take a hard look at this, and rather than trying to just go from an opinion, I wanted to be evidence-based. I wanted to be very confident in my path. And so the information that we created in this book comes from data. It's not coming from my opinion. So I blindly, and I discussed this in the book, I blindly took 100 people that I have tested in the past between the ages of 25 and 50 years old. And I looked at the cost of work for each of these people, and I skewed them all up to the same threshold. So regardless of whether you're 25 or 50, I took you to a point where you are now clinically 100% into your sugar stores, which means now you're producing a tremendous amount of lactate. All right?
This is typically your max effort, correct?
It wouldn't be a max effort, but you are on a hellbound train.
Yeah, it's about to be
So if
there.
you're at that point, there's no sustainability beyond there, right? So I took everybody to that point, and then I did the math. And then I did the same thing with their ages, and I did the math. And I concluded some very cool deal points that really allowed me to give the consumer, minus a clinical assessment with me, a path to follow in order to develop the energy systems, which is another day, right? We're going to do that in the book.
Yeah.
But today it's about the mechanics. Tomorrow, with the book, they can learn about the economy developing process. That's very specific, exclusively specific to a CrossFit athlete, which is completely out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Other than,
Which is an anaerobic athlete.
well, yeah, and I mean, I shouldn't say it's out of my wheelhouse because in energetics, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you came to me tomorrow and said, I need to run a marathon, I would know what to do with you. If you told me that you needed to improve your 40-meter sprint time, I would know what to do with you. I wouldn't necessarily be the best coach to teach you to run a 40. I'm not a sprint coach, but I can certainly look at your mechanics and say, well, this is why you're not able to run fast.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's cool. It's a good mix. I mean,
Yeah, you're a battle of fatigue specialist.
yes, the dark horse winning the battle with fatigue.
Yes.
That's what we call it.